the Dapchi situation where the girls of the Government Girls Science Technical College went missing after an attack by Boko Haram. Let's quickly go to Abuja with Maugbe and Ajuri to start this discussion. Maugbe.
Well, thank you, Gimba. I think it's also important to say that we tried to get in touch with military authorities. We indeed got in touch with the defense spokesperson who told us that initially they had tried to rescue some of the girls. It's not very clear what the information is, but he says that the state government is the one in charge of managing information, not the Nigerian military. So we will see in the coming days if there will be any statement at all from the military. But joining us this morning to discuss and look at the situation in Dapchi is Aisha Yesufu, who is a co-convener of the Bring Back Our Girls movement. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you for having me.
People say that lightning doesn't strike in the same spot twice, but it looks like it does strike in the same manner, maybe not in the exact same spot. From what you have seen so far in, the situation we had in Chibok, looking like we've seen this before, what we're seeing in Dapchi, would you say that, we're quite clear as to what precisely transpired?
Well, it's a sad situation, honestly. It's really heartbreaking that we are seeing April 2014 all over again, because what is happening right now is exactly the same thing that happened with the Chibok girls' abduction, and it's so sad that as a country we didn't learn anything. And right now the information, we have sketchy information all over the place, reports. First of all, rescue, no rescue, and the parents are coming out now to say that their girls, they haven't seen their girls. Exactly what Chibok parents went through, and it's quite sad. It's time for the federal government, the state government, and the military to come out with accurate information. I mean, at this moment, citizens are shattered, parents are shattered, and we need to have a situation room where accurate report is given. Do we even have the identities of the girls right now? Do we have the names? What is the value of the Nigerian life if this is allowed to happen again almost 4 years after?
It is interesting. I mean, we saw yesterday the governor of Yobe State visit Dapchi to try and talk to the community people. We also saw a retraction of some sort. I think it was called an apology as to the mix-up of information. Because according to the Yobe State government, they said they got some information from a military source which they trusted. It didn't quite say which of the sources they had spoken with, but they said they had no cause to doubt that source, and that was the reason they had said that some girls were rescued. But much later, they said that it turned out that the story wasn't true, and they felt the need to put out a statement there. What did that tell you as to what precisely could be going on in terms of information management between the military and state authorities?
It just tells us, like I said earlier, nothing was learned. We remember when there was Chibok girls' abduction, military came out to say that all had been rescued but 8. And the nation gave a sigh of relief and everybody was happy about it, until the parents came out to say that no, they hadn't seen their daughters, and then the military recanted. So we are seeing the same thing playing out. Here we have the Yobe State government coming out to say that rescue had been made, and then parents say that they haven't seen their daughters. So it's really quite sad, and it just goes to say that our focus, we have said repeatedly as a movement, the Bring Back Our Girls movement has said that the government must invest in intelligence gathering, it must invest in investigation. So obviously what happened in the first place, there was more interest in bringing out a statement than there was in investigation and actually verifying how many of our girls are missing, have they been abducted, have they been brought back, and all of that. So definitely in terms of information management, we have to invest in it. It is a terrorist war we are fighting here. It's not a conventional war. It's not the kind of thing that you do with guns and that's it. Intelligence gathering must be very important. And you're looking, I'm sitting down here and I'm wondering, the same terrorists that we have technically defeated, that can only go at soft targets, had the time, from the reports we're hearing, came with so many vehicles to attack it and spend that long a time to really be able to not only attack it, but go out there to get girls. It's the Northeast. We've had this before. Didn't we learn anything? In 2014, a Chibok father said something. He said the government used to fine them for not sending their children to school. That now that they have sent their children to school and their children have been taken away, who is going to fine the government?
Can I ask you, are you as optimistic as the Yobe State government? We saw him visit the community yesterday. First and foremost, would you consider his visit fast enough?
It's not as fast as it should have been. This happened on the 19th. Yesterday was 22nd. Immediately it happened. The governor ought to have been there. The president ought to have been there by now.
Okay, so now we find him visiting, and then he says to the to the community that we heard that some of the girls ran away by themselves. They have run into the bushes, and we also understand that there are reports of them being recovered. Do you think, are you as optimistic as he is, that perhaps some of these girls were just too scared? Maybe they ran into the bushes and have lost their way, and have just not yet been found.
For me personally right now, I'm like a drowning person that would rather grab at any straw. Because we don't want this to be true. I don't want this to be true. 4 years of our lives have been on this thing. Every day as a movement, we come out every day. We have refused to even assimilate what is going on now because it's heartbreaking. 4 years invested, seeing parents crying, seeing how much their lives have been shattered, and then we are coming again, and another set of parents are going to go through the same thing. Remember when we started this in April 2014? We didn't have the luxury of the knowledge. Ignorance, they say, sometimes is bliss. We didn't know the pain that would be involved. We didn't know what it would entail. Right now, we know what it is. We were looking at the light at the end of the tunnel with some of our rescued Chibok girls, and the 112 were saying that in no time they will come back home. And now we have been thrown back into the darkness of where we started from, where there was no hope.
Ms. Yesufu, I want to ask you, where last Christmas, of course, there was the release of over 100 Chibok girls, and we know that the administration had to part with something in order to make that happen. Approximately 3 million euros in cash and 5 selected Boko Haram commanders in exchange. I want to ask you, are we at risk of creating a trend in which Boko Haram will continue to find vulnerable areas to abduct our children, to be able to create a negotiating chip, a bargaining chip, to replenish their own resources to continue to do this action?
As a movement, we consistently said one thing to the government. They have all the information to be able to make the informed decision on how to go about the rescue of our Chibok girls. And we said there were 3 options. Military action to rescue our Chibok girls, a combination of military action and negotiation. The 4th option that we said was not acceptable was the option of doing nothing. So it was for the federal government to sit down and look at the information that they have. They don't have all the information, and be able to make that informed decision as of what is best for the nation, what is best for our Chibok girls. The one thing we did say was that the rescue of our Chibok girls, it's not a privilege. It's their right as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and they have to be rescued. The way we wanted them to be no rescue, we move on with our lives, was not acceptable, because the primary responsibility of government is the protection of lives and properties, and it failed the Chibok girls.